Time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.
Welcome everybody to the Miles and Crawford Variety Hour.
Woo woo!
This week is the week of Valentine's Day. I hope that you all got some amazing hand jobs or
Head in general.
masturbated to some good porn if you're alone, or had some amazing sex. I hope y'all got what you wanted, or I know a few people who got things that they didn't want. I was the only person at work that didn't get flowers delivered to work. I was like, but I had the day off. I was like, well, that's because I had the day off. But I would, had I been working, I wouldn't have got flowers. How was your Valentine's Day in general?
Well, my Valentine's Day was spent at work. I think I called
Did you get
my
flowers
husband.
too?
Fuck no.
Oh,
No,
good.
I told him if he got me anything, I was going to chop his dick
Thank
off.
God.
But I got him a card because I wanted to one-up him. He was so pissed. Like, it was seriously... I had to go buy Valentine's for Jack's class anyway. So I was like, oh, there's a fucking Valentine's card. Like, I'll just pick that up. You know, see, and it was like 9 o'clock on Valentine's Day night, you know?
Right.
And I got him a card. Like, what did you give me a card for? You said nothing. You said you chopped my dick off. I'm like, it's a fucking card. Calm down, fucking man.
Right.
But no, it was actually a really nice, just, I got out of work early. I had a doctor's appointment that day, so I was out of work at like 1:30 in the afternoon and just kind of had a nice little uneventful Valentine's Day. I can't even bitch about it. I mean,
we didn't either.
yeah, like we're kind of over it. Like
Yeah.
we've been together for so long. It's just kind of like, hey, buddy. Like my birthday was just 2 weeks ago. A week before that, before my birthday was my son's 11th birthday, and then a month before that was Christmas. Like it's too much. It's too much.
Oh, this is like probably the last year he has to do Valentine's then. Once they get into 6th grade, I think it is, they stop doing that.
Oh, well, no, Parker straight up said no. They're not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so
He was
nice.
No, like his class did it, but Parker refused to like get Valentine's. He refused to make a Valentine's box. He was like, "I'm not doing it. I'm protesting Valentine's Day. It's commercial." So I'm like, "All right, cool."
You should have gotten him a little white T-shirt and with a Sharpie. Like, just say no to Valentine's Day. Or it's a grumpy face, you know?
Yeah. Well, the great thing was that so their school celebrated Valentine's Day party today, and they didn't do it on actual Valentine's Day. So, because I don't know, it was some weird thing the schools were doing this year. So, no biggie. I kept asking my youngest, like, hey, buddy, Jack, do you want to make a Valentine's box? No, we don't need Valentine's boxes. We just need Valentine's on Friday. All right, cool. Then, here it is, Thursday evening.
Oh, yeah.
9 p.m. We're fucking making Valentine's cards, writing everybody's name out, giving them little pieces of candy, the whole shebang. And Jackson's like, hey, by the way, I think we need to make a box.
Oh, Jackson.
Oh, no, we're not, buddy. So what? What we're going to do, buddy, is that one of the boxes your dad got was like it was like a little Star Wars box that had like little bracelets, candy bracelets in it. And so we just took that box. I was like, here's your box. He's like, are you serious, Mom? Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
It's Thursday at 9 o'clock. You ain't getting shit.
Well, have you seen the Valentines anymore? They're so thin and tiny. I mean...
Right? And then I go in and I look at it today on, his teacher posts on Facebook, like, blah, blah, like, here's our Valentine's boxes. These kids in his fucking class, like, their parents,
Oh, I know.
my friend, fucking went all out, like, light up boxes, fucking this box. And I'm like, there's my kid holding, like, a fucking Kroger Star Wars box.
You know what I did with Aiden? Because when Andrew was in school, they didn't do those little Valentine's boxes. So when Aiden came around, I was like, you don't say. So we did Adventure Time one once. We did funny ones, though. Like, I did an Adventure Time themed one, and it had all of Jake's, like, best pickup lines written on the outside of it. Like, girl, you smell divine. Did you take a bath in rainbows and cupcakes? That's my favorite line. Have you ever watched Adventure Time?
I am obsessed, and that's usually the only way I can go to bed now is by watching either Futurama or Adventure Time. I fucking love Adventure Time.
I didn't mean to cut you off. You were saying something. But
No, you're fine. I
will lose my thought if I don't get it out right away. Go ahead.
No. There was nothing more to it. The fact that we're just shitty parents, and we proved how shitty parents
We're not
we are.
shitty parents. We're okay parents.
Yeah, like, look, my kid went to school with something with
Still alive.
Yeah, my kids are alive. They're breathing. Okay, so
they have
I mean,
all their digits. They're not Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's really funny? About 5 minutes ago, we were sitting here talking, and I had forgot that we were podcasting. Because this is just how we talk, guys. That was an actual conversation between us. I mean, I really did forget. Where I was like, "Oh God, we're doing a podcast here." Yeah. So I love that your child protested. One child protested Valentine's Day, and the other was like, "And here is my half-assed late-at-night attempt." I mean,
Miles, when
you're molding our world, our future world leaders. There, Miles.
We do it so wrong, we're right. Okay, that's how the Miles is rolled. We're so wrong that we're right.
I love it. It's adorable. So, speaking of school, how about that latest mass shooting?
Oh my God!
Weren't you just? Here's the interesting story, everybody. Miles, we were going to podcast earlier, but I had some things going on this week that kind of drained me, and I had to go attend a few things. Blah blah blah. Anyways, tell us about back to Dana and what a bitch she is.
So this all started really stupidly. My friend had posted some whatever Facebook post about, the Florida shooting and, how we should, care about our kids more than we care about our guns, blah, 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 blah. And then I see this woman posting named Dana Garfield. She got shitty because she said, why are kids making videos while the school shooting is going on other than calling 911?
Excuse me. She don't think that anybody hasn't called 911 already yet, and I personally was interested to see, not because I like gore or anything, but I think we need to see what kind of terror our kids are fucking going through. My God,
Dana, you're dumb. Anyway, so then I was, made some stupid, ridiculous, offhanded comment about, maybe if the kids of Sandy Hook had, their phones on them at the same time making videos, we would actually believe them. Okay, so I get how that, is so fucking ridiculous, right? I know it. I know this.
I get that.
But at the same point, there are people who don't believe that Sandy Hook happened and had, sadly enough, and it is the truth, had these 5-year-olds made fucking videos about what was happening to the school, maybe people would actually believe that Sandy Hook actually happened. So I know it was a far stretch, but, she was making this whole mockery about, why is it important to have videos in the school shootings? The importance of it is that, and from Columbine, we only got the perception of school footage. We didn't get the perception of the children. And I had made the offhanded comment about, had we had video cameras and kids taking videos of what was happening at Sandy Hook, maybe we would have taken it more seriously. Of course, then she goes on some crazy tangent about how I'm nuts, and which I am, and how
you're absolutely right. We're all mad here.
We're all mad, exactly. And another great podcast, by the way.
Well, I was referencing Alice in Wonderland, but that is an awesome podcast, which we will get to shoutouts. Just hold your horses, people. Go ahead.
But so anyway, she makes this remark about how ignorant I must be to expect a bunch of 5-year-olds to turn on their Snapchat and make videos. And I'm like, no, I'm not fucking ignorant, you dumbass.
I expect a 2-year-old to do that. I mean, those kids can really use that.
There's some kids that they've got some serious.
You think a 6-year-old can't do that? Maybe not back then. I mean, it's been a few years, but nowadays,
nowadays those kids got all kinds of fucking abilities, and so I try to explain to her. Look, I was my explanation is that having video cameras on that time, kids making videos, you again are taking the victims and you're blaming them for their circumstance. Yep. You're telling people how they are supposed to react in a time of being shot. Where these students who have been, are homegrown Americans who know about how rampant our gun problem is, knows that the biggest problem is that we don't have enough understanding about what's going on in these schools. To me, this is also what I like to call a learning tool. These videos are going to show us how kids, students, teachers, faculty, all of them are reacting. So we can see when this happens in our own schools, because guaranteed, if we keep up at the rate that we are at right now, it will happen in our state, and it may happen in our schools. And all of these little video shots that we're getting is showing us how kids are reacting, What teachers are taking the right steps? We hear stories, but it's no longer enough in a day of the internet and conspiracy theorists and truthers to have a story be told. We need to have actual video footage. So anyways, I'm, trying to explain to her, I think that this is a learning tool. I think the video camera footage of what these students are using is a video tool, and that, we need to learn about how kids are reacting. And then she brings up, for no reason, about the whole entire AR-15 being banned. And I'm like, well, yeah, the AR-15 needs banned because it's an assault rifle and nobody should have access to the assault rifle.
It's made to kill people.
It is. And then she goes on this whole entire tangent about, there's no difference between the AR-15 and something called a .223 hunting gun made by Remington, who, by the way, is going out of business. Yep. But I'm like, hey, I don't really give a shit. Fuck it. We'll go ahead and we'll ban that too. And then she makes a comment about how it's funny how all these shootings are occurring in the states that have gun-free zones. Okay, so right, like I am like, whoa, like you are beyond pissing me off, and I understand that. And I'm like, okay, at this point, here are the problems. Here's what we need to resolve. You're not going to see it my way. I don't really give a fuck what kind. I think ABC, XYZ guns should be banned. And that we should have. I'm not trying to take away your guns, people. I'm not.
And that's what people always say, like they're trying to take our guns. No, trying to take the guns away that kill people. And I know all guns kill people, but some guns are made especially for killing people, and that's what should mass killing. Yes, and that's where, and we need mental health and we need background checks. And people are like, well, the criminals can still get guns just as easily. Well, they have to come from somewhere. We gotta do something. You can't just be like, well, the criminals will just have the guns. It's fine. That's not...
And that's all she kept saying. She's like, and, then I'm talking to her about, cutting off the loopholes. And she's like, well, don't worry. Domestic violence, despite what you believe, the facts is that domestic abusers cannot get guns. And so I was like, well, okay, so technically, she's right. And I said, I'm like, technically... You're right. Technically, according to the rules, is that a domestic abuser should not be able to get guns. Technically. However, if we look at the actual federal laws, the federal laws do not apply to abusers who victimize a family member or anyone other than a partner or a child. The federal laws do not apply to convicted stalkers and other subjects to the protective order. Also, federal laws fail to require domestic abusers to surrender the firearms they already have, and in fact, the federal laws are weakened by ineffectual federal background check laws. And that's what I tell her, like, hey, you're right. If, my husband beats the shit out of me today, and then in a week from now he tries to get a gun, more than likely he's not supposed to be able to get a gun as long as the State Department has done their job and filed the paperwork correctly.
Right.
If we all remember the guy that happened down in Texas, that church shooting, he technically shouldn't have had a gun. But because the Navy failed to aware the state that he lived in that he was a domestic abuser and a known wife beater, they did not have him on record to not, so he passed a background check. So I said, here are the loopholes in which domestic abusers get them. When at first she goes, well, what copy-pasted bullshit, blah, blah, blah. That's still not going to stop. Okay.
Copy-pasted bullshit. Listen, bitch, I know you copy and pasted something. Don't act high and mighty.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, fuck Dana, we're gonna.
That's how you get facts, bitch.
Yep,
you can't just make them up. You gotta copy and paste them from a fact website.
Exactly.
I got you, girl.
We're gonna agree to disagree. I'm done. She's like, I'm like, while I'm sitting here fighting with you over dumb shit, I could be writing, the people of like my Senate, my Congress, especially like Rob, Porter and Bob Latta, who get money from the fucking NRA, about how they're pieces of shit. And she's like, well, while you're there, you should write the FBI as well. Da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to write the FBI because last time I checked my taxes, I pay somebody to speak on my behalf to the FBI. Plus, the FBI sees me on my computer. Hello, FBI. And they see me in my Snapchat. Hello, CIA. I get that, okay? So, like, they're already watching me. They already know what I'm about. I don't have to voice my opinion. They're following me on all my social media. So they totally get that I'm against what they're putting out. And it's fine. Anyways, she continues to go on about how I can't give her a reason why I want the AR-15 banned and not this hunting gun, which again, I had already said prior, we'll get rid of all this shit. So it obviously just proves to me that you don't know anything about guns.
Not a damn thing. And
I
only...
said, you're right. I don't know shit about guns because you know what?
I'm just joking.
No. But I mean, it's the truth though. I don't own a gun. Okay, so I don't know the difference between a .223 hunting rifle and
you
an
don't
AR.
need to own guns to to know what each one does. I mean, you have a basic knowledge of them. You know what a handgun is, what a rifle is, what a shotgun is, what an auto. You know what I mean? An assault rifle.
Yeah, and she brings up about how she was raised and how she's going to raise her kids, and I'm all like, dude, cool for you, man. That's your life. She's like, well, obviously, you were never raised around guns, so I see where you're coming from, I guess. And I'm like, wait, first of all, I had uncles who shot guns around me all the time. I have several friends who are veterans who have taught me religiously, top to bottom about, gun rights, but also believe in they believe the same gun legislation that I do, but they don't want to have what they have taken away. 98% of my veteran friends, I would have no problem them owning some of the guns they already own because you've already bought and purchased them. I'm not mad about you having them. You've passed the test. I know where you're at on your PTSD level. I don't believe that you're that kind of person that's going to go to a church or a school and start shooting up people. You're a responsible gun owner. I have no problem against you. I don't, and you're also military. You're military. Your background check is way different. What you have is different. I'm trying to explain this to her. Like, dude, it's not that. Like, I have friends who are veterans. I understand guns to a degree, but I also understand that if you can't shoot a deer with a regular fucking rifle and you have to get some insane, like, $3,000 gun just to kill a deer, then you're not very good at fucking killing deer. Like, that's, honestly, like, if you really need an insane piece of equipment to go hunting, then you should become a better hunter. Maybe you don't know what it takes to take hunting. You're right. I don't drown myself in deer piss and sit up in a tree for fucking 15 hours a day, hoping to God to get a good shot. You're right. I don't do that. That doesn't make me a bad person or a bad mother or an uninformed voter. It makes me somebody who says, I've chose a different life. I've been around guns. I know people who own guns. I trust them when I'm ready. And it will come to the day at some point, probably, maybe, when I am ready to own a gun, when I'm ready for that responsibility, I will do that. But I take gun ownership very seriously, and I take it seriously enough to know that I'm the kind of person that shouldn't own a gun. Not yet. I'm not ready there. That's not who I am. If I'm going to own a gun, I'm going to own a small little gun that I can turn in the corner and kill somebody who's robbing me. Other than that, I don't want to own a gun. I want to own mace. I want to own some sharp knives. It's the kind of... I'm going to be the girl that comes out with a fucking lighter and a fucking bottle of hairspray. Okay? Like, that's the kind of fighting I do. I'm a dirty fighter. I don't believe in a one-shot, you're done. I'm going to torment the fuck out of you. I'm going to set you on fire. I'm going to stab you like 15 times. And that's what I'm going to do in order if you want to try to fucking rob me.
Yeah. You know what?
Make this easy.
I don't mess around. I'm going to be like, I will fuck you up. How's that sound?
Sorry, that was tangent. Anyways, at the end of the day, I was just like, look, you do you, and that's fine. But I'm going to do me, and I don't believe in this. And you can believe that, like, if you believe that kids should die because they live in a gun-free zone. Like, your legitimate reason for the AR-15 still being intact and being okay is because it was used in a quote-unquote gun-free zone. And you think that if those teachers, by the way, fuck you guys who think that teachers should arm themselves.
They
can't even buy goddamn markers for the classrooms, but you want them to fucking purchase their own fucking guns and a Glock and to carry that around. And not only that, but dude, seriously, how many teachers have been caught fucking kids molesting their students, etc., etc., and you want that motherfucker to have a gun in his hand to not only just victimize their students but threaten their life with it?
And there's some mean teachers out there too, like I don't know if we should be entrusting. There's nice teachers and there's mean teachers, but I don't know if I would want every teacher to have a gun ready. I get it, don't get me wrong, but I have friends that are teachers. And I don't know if I want them armed. No, I'm just kidding. They're good people, and they do buy their own supplies. But to put that kind of pressure on a teacher too, like, we want you to teach.
Money.
Yeah, right, we want you to teach and keep these children safe, but also you may have to take a motherfucker out.
Exactly. Like,
it's like a police.
It's fucking absurd.
And then there's been things. Every time a mass shooting happens, there's always, what we need to do? We need to hire more police and retired veterans and disabled veterans or whatever to secure our schools, and then we wouldn't have this issue. Okay, that's a great idea. Where's the money going to come from that? Do we have a budget for that? No.
Not only that, but we just rolled back, according to Trump's new budget plan.
Background checks. By
He's rolled
14
back
million?
background checks, and not only that, but they're taking money out of our schools. So we're having less money now in our schools in the first place. Like right now, we're raising money locally here in Findlay, Ohio, for what they call the boots on the door.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, so the boots are where, if anybody hasn't heard about the boot on the door is, every classroom will get this eventually at some point when we can raise the funds for it. And we've raised enough money for, I think 10 or 15 boots so far.
You know the nicer schools already got them.
Yeah, and so what happens, what happens is that, for those of you who don't understand, so you have a classroom door. You guys can imagine a classroom door. And there's a locking mechanism that is placed underneath the door, and then there's a little button that's right by the teacher's foot. So in case that there is a school shooter, the teacher taps her foot on the button and it locks the door from underneath and holds it and bolts it into place from both inside and outside. So the shooter, there's no way in or out until they release the button.
Right.
So, you're fucked if you find out the shooter's
I believe it's bulletproof too.
Yeah, it's a whole thing, and it's great security measures for so these shooters can't just open up a door and go fucking bonkers. And but as we've
kill
also
26 kids in one
thing. Yeah, exactly. And so but for me, living in a town of 40,000 people, we have to raise this money, and right now I have to now talk to my kids about, in case this happens and the boot is not on your door and you are running because you're fucking 11 years old and you're scared for your life and you're running out of your goddamn classroom, make sure that you put your book bag on the front of you.
Right.
That will help stop the bullet get to your heart.
Right. Yeah, I've told my kids, if you're in and say you bust in on the classroom and start shooting, I was like, just fall to the ground and play dead. And I was like, and I mean play dead, don't even barely breathe. I taught them how to breathe shallowly, shallowly.
But why are we teaching our kids this?
I know.
Right now we have to do that because it's actually easier for us parents who have to endure the emotional trauma of this than for the fucking loopholes to be closed and for, 8 congressmen and or 50 of them to agree the fact that they don't want fucking dead kids.
You know what? Mirrors almost the talk that black parents have with their children. White parents, we gotta be like, listen, a white dude might bust in and shoot you while you're at school. That just happened. You know what I mean? It's a lot like that conversation. To me, I'm just in this moment, I just kind of makes it, but I could just be stoned a lot.
You could just be stoned. No, I think it makes sense. And also kudos to all the kids of Florida who have been speaking out on social media. Kudos to all of you who are making those videos, and especially the kid. And I love that video where he looks and he says, "We are the kids, and you are the adults. You are the one that's making this happen.
Right?
This is not in our hands. And our president. I mean, if you listen to President Obama during a school shooting and fucking President Trump is blaming basically the kids. Trump blamed the students for knowing what was happening with this kid and knowing that he was mentally disturbed and not reporting it.
Yeah.
But they did report it. He was on the FBI watch list, but because he was a white kid, they didn't do shit about it. Because if he was fucking Muslim or black or Mexican or any fucking other way, whatever he might have been, if he was anything other than white, I guarantee they would have taken the proper steps to apprehend him. But here's a kid who has fallen through the cracks, through the foster care system, and not that is to blame. Died years ago. His foster mother recently died in November. This kid was on his own. He was depressed. He was
adopted, and so then wasn't it a family friend that took them in? Mm-hmm. It wasn't even the family. It was a family friend that took. I just thought, how dejected. And I'm not saying oh, poor him. Then he had to go. That doesn't have anything to do with what he did. I'm talking about the kid that he was the day before that shooting happened, and who, that's fucking sad.
Imagine how he felt. And I think that says a lot. And I think that, again, here's somebody who is a 19-year-old kid, and it was easier for him to purchase an AR-15 in the state of Florida than it was to purchase a fucking handgun.
Yep.
There is a problem there, and this is a problem. And everybody is debating even about the 18 school shootings aren't really real. Okay, you guys are right. You've got my hands tied. You're right. Out of all the school shootings that happen, not everyone goes killed every single time. You're right. There was a father who was out there and he, got into this whole gun thing while, and it was after school hours, but he was still on the school grounds. There are all kinds of things that are happening. I think I put this on our Twitter feed, but if we are going to keep up with our 18 shootings every 45 days on school property, life or death, that means that a kindergartner this year, by the time that they graduate, the state of Ohio, I'm going to use that as a, because that's where we're from. The state of Ohio, by the time that kindergartner graduates, state of Ohio will have endured 37 school shootings.
I saw that article or that chart actually, and I saw like another map, and it had dots of like where they've all been, and it's really out of hand. I mean, we're only in February, people, and it was littered with dots. And every other country is like, you're the only country with this problem, and everybody says now's not the time to talk about it, or there's nothing that we can do. It's so out of control. If we take guns away from good people, the bad people will still be able to get them, and it's like we never get into a conversation because we keep throwing up all these roadblocks to why we can't have the conversation.
And we talk about it in the way like, what was the big phrase was, guns are American.
Mm-hmm. No.
But so is smoking. But so is, am I wrong?
Right. So is apple pie, motherfuckers.
Yeah, and we quit eating apple pie because of our obesity and our diabetes.
I love apple pie with butter on it.
And we stopped smoking in restaurants because we knew about the secondhand smoking and killing kids, and that they even banned smoking in cars with kids.
Uh-huh. Yep.
But they won't ban a fucking AR-15 being in the hands of a fucking 18-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't understand the concept about guns are American.
Something that immediately kills somebody and can kill many people at one time has no restrictions. And, I made this joke.
Lock up your Tide Pods, Crawford. Lock up your Tide Pods.
I made this joke that there's more laws protecting what you can kill a deer with than there are humans. Because, you can only shoot deer. I learned a lot about hunting laws this year, and there are tons of laws about what you can use to kill a deer, where you have to be. There's just all kinds of laws, and I'm like, there are like 5 laws, like do not kill. That's the only one we got. But I don't know. I just thought that was amusing. I was like, no, that's funny that there's no laws saying what guns you can use to kill people.
It's so true. I think that
that's
we
a
have
dumb joke.
No. It's a good joke, but it's a sad joke because like we have such a problem. And it's not just us who are seeing it. I know that this isn't just us. This isn't just Miles and Crawford. This isn't a handful of like crazy lefties or whatever it is. There's other countries who are talking about this. The UK's talking about us. Australia's talking
Everybody's
about
talking about us.
We have problems.
Country. We have serious problems.
And we're refusing to look at them dead in the face, and we're the problem is that we
stuck in our ways. Nope. Just keep on going.
And you know what? And for anybody who is listening who has teenager kids, I want you, if your kids aren't on social media, there's 2 walkouts being staged as of right now that I know of. One is March 14th, and then the other is the anniversary of Columbine on 420. These kids are planning on getting out, and they're planning on walking out of school. High school students are already, they're gathering. They're gathering in ways that the women's rights march was gathering. So I am excited. I'm hoping to reach out to some of the teens locally here to find out if that's part of their plan, and if so, taking off that time of work and going out that day with them. And even they can't walk to Columbus, Ohio from Findlay, Ohio, that they can walk to our mayor's office. That they demand reform and that they demand change.
Right.
Because we need some.
I agree, and I just became distracted by an article which I thought you might like. Hancock County, which is where Miles lives, and I live a county over. Death toll from overdose is still climbing. Already at a record high, continues to climb. Hancock Public Health has confirmed 23 deaths from overdoses in 2018 so far. So far, 23 deaths.
Good.
I know. I'm
They
sorry.
only came 16 last year.
Yeah, that's right. There were 16, but I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. Already at a record high. What? Oh, because they're just really. Never mind. It's saying from 2017 because the coroner's still ruling on deaths. So they have confirmed 23 deaths for overdoses in 2017. It won't be confirmed until mid-2018. So, yeah, I always like to kind of update people. I didn't mean to take away from your point about
No, it has
You're
everything to do with
absolutely
each
right.
other. It really does, though. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, you're right though. It has the drug epidemic and the gun epidemic have very much two hands in the same pot.
They're usually found together, you know.
They really are, though. I mean,
It's true.
it's not wrong. These people aren't getting the help that they need or the help they're getting is just based off opiates and pill poppers.
Right.
They're not getting the true help they need in order to stop them from creating these kind of crimes. And I am pissed that this is climbing. I mean, the drug epidemic is taking over, the gun epidemic is taking over, and as adults, all of us guys, like, I'm pretty sure anybody who listens to us is over the age of 18 years old. It's our responsibility. This isn't a responsibility for some group to talk to your senators and your legislators.
Yes. It's not even that hard. You can email them. You don't have to buy stamps or type up or print anything off. You can call. You can email. I mean, it is so easy to reach out now.
You can fax them from your local UPS. And
I think I am going to fax. You can even internet fax.
Yeah. There's so many things that you guys can do, and it's a choice.
That's all we're saying
right now, that you are refusing. As much as you sit there and say, I am a responsible gun owner. So if you are a responsible gun owner, I'm talking to you specifically.
Right.
If you are a responsible gun owner who also believes in responsible gun legislation, also, it is your responsibility to vote in and vote out of the people who are going for what you believe in. Just because you're a Republican gun owner does not believe that you should have to go ahead and vote in the next Republican who you know is getting paid $3 million or $800,000 or $200,000 every year by the NRA. If they are not doing actual change, as a responsible gun owner, I respect you for being responsible gun ownership. I ask you that you take your responsibility to the voting booths. That does not mean you have to vote Democrat or Green Party. It means that there should be a Republican on the ballot that is not getting paid by the NRA to kill our children.
The NRA, yeah, I love that somebody put out a chart on Twitter right away talking about all these thoughts and prayers that were going out and how much they took from the NRA, It's like,
that was Jimmy Kimmel writer.
Yes, it was. Yes, yep, you're right. I think this generation is in school now. We've had school shootings for so long now that they're getting tougher about it. I'm really hoping, like with what that kid said, and with the footage. I think the footage is instrumental. It's powerful. It shows the terror that our children. That could be your child, and we don't get that kind of inside look. So when we hear about those shootings and that tragedy, we can't even fathom what went inside and what happened in that building. And so it doesn't affect us on a personal level. But when you watch a video of a 14 or a 15-year-old filming and there's a dead body laying next to them and there's kids screaming and there's fire alarms going off and there's just pure terror and panic and you can hear a gun going off, maybe then people will start to be like, oh my God, I don't want my kid to go through that. I just, I go on about it. People don't care until it happens to them. But maybe if they see enough of that footage and photos and things like that, like, talk about the pussification of our nation because we keep that kind of graphic stuff away from people. But are we sheltering our society by not exposing them to the realities of death and violence? And this world, the world is dangerous. There are dangerous people, and and I think that's something that America tries to pretend like we're all happy apple pie, nothing's wrong here, you know. We've ignored it for so long that it's exploded into this problem where it's like, no, there are fucked up, crazy, psychotic people in the world, and they're just wandering about, and we're encouraging it. And that's how I feel about it, you know?
No, and I would have to definitely agree to that, and I think that is the pussification. I really, really like that. Let's we're copywriting that word.
That's what people always complain about it, and it's like, but you want to complain about videos of the school shootings, but I think that that's instrumental in understanding the terror, you know, like, do you want your kid to go through that? That's, you know, we need to highlight these things. Just like they used to air public execution. Just like they
learned nothing from that.
Nope, we just ignored it. Except for Marilyn Manson's awful. We did learn that.
Marilyn Manson's awful, and I'm sorry, but Michael Moore's Bowling for Columbine. If you haven't, I get people who aren't Michael Moore fans. I get it. At the same point, if you haven't, to this day, watched Bowling for Columbine.
That's a good one. I watched that when I was like 19. I don't know if I've seen it since then, but that really affected me. It's a great documentary.
It was so good. Now, there was a movie, hold on. I think it was called Elephant.
I think I wanted to. I don't think I ever did. Dang it.
So, okay, there it is. Okay, yep, it was called Elephant. It came out in 2003. So, it was done by the Gus Van Sant. So, anyways, Elephant. So, I had watched Bowling for Columbine, being a kid who sat in her classroom, and we all stopped what we were doing, and we watched the news. The teachers, when Columbine was going on, our teachers in our schools stopped what was going on, and we watched Columbine from our television sets in our class.
Did. Just like 9/11.
Yep, and so that was traumatic and scary and hard and difficult to deal with. Also,
and that came right after, it came right after, or right before the Oklahoma City bombing. I want to say right after. That's what I thought. I couldn't remember which one it, you know. But yeah.
Which national tragedy happened first?
Mass killings with 2 in 1 month, days apart.
Yeah. I mean, because Oklahoma City bombing happened April 19th, 1995, and then Columbine was April 20th, 1999. So they're about 4 years apart. But so we watched the stuff unfold. Then Michael Moore came out for Bowling for Columbine, which is a documentary about how easy it was at the time to go to your local Kmart and to be able to buy rounds and rounds of bullets as a minor, and those laws changed.
Right.
You know, minor owning a gun did change right off the rip, and since then, nothing. So then in 2003, Gus Van Sant did this beautiful movie called Elephant, and it was a movie.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Actually, I tried to watch that, and it was too, I was like, I couldn't get into that. But unless I'm thinking of a different version, because there are 2 versions. And I mean, not with the same title or anything, but I watched something like that, and I couldn't get into it. It was like, one of them.
It was slow. It was slow, and it was a little bit, you know, but when it came, so
was that the one that was like shot by the, you know, like it was handheld footage, and it was from their point of view, and it was like shaky cam style?
No.
Okay, this is the one that I watched then. The one that I'm thinking of was called 0 Day, and I just didn't care for that. But I will watch that Elephant. That looks very interesting.
It's really, it's very insightful, and you are going to cry. And if you don't cry watching this movie, I don't give a shit.
We're not friends
anymore. I mean, it's not that we're not friends anymore, but if you can't at least get some tears in your eyes, especially after all that we've been through, and to watch this, I think that you're really this movie and have a deeper understanding of school shootings, then you're never going to understand them, in my opinion. That's how. And if you watch Bowling for Columbine and watch Elephant, for one, just prepare to be depressed as fuck, and I hope to God that you're either really drunk or stoned, or you're snuggling and get like amazing sex right afterwards, because you're going to need to feel something else than what you're going to feel inside.
Right.
I'm going to watch this movie and like have like a review on it, and it's going to be okay. Like, you're gonna be devastated because these movies were so long ago, and we have made no fucking difference. since
Well,
they came out.
I find that, when people refuse, like, they're like, he's just a monster, and nobody wants to look behind the mask and see what, or from their point of view, or things like that. And not to say that the focus shouldn't be on the victims, but we need to get to the heart of why there's such an interest in school shootings, and why this has become a phenomenon. I hate that word. I'm not even going to say it. I can never. Phenomenon. It's become such a big thing in our country that they're getting worse and bigger and more extreme because people want to outdo each other. So taking the focus away from the shooter and more on the victims, and I think that's good. But at the same time, when you read an article about the shooter, it's all the bad about them, or how much damage they did, or I don't know. It never seems to really try to get down to the psychology of what caused them to, and if there's a related factor, and if we had more funding for those kind of that kind of research and that kind of interviews, and the FBI had a special unit, which maybe they do. I mean, I know they profile, but or maybe they already have the answers and they just don't really. I don't know. My tinfoil hat. Maybe they're just calling the herd. I was getting too earlier. The NRA. The NRA gives us so much money. Yeah, I know. That's money, and that's the whole thing. That's the current administration. That's what they're all about, and that's how our capitalism is just, to me, it's a joke. I mean, some parts of it work, but I kind of favor capitalist and a socialist society. Like, there's different elements, I think, that could be taken from both to make a working society that's fair to everybody.
I think that at the end of the day is that it really has just been, they're pushing it on us. They're telling us that we're not adult enough to make informed decisions. They're making us believe through memes and funny videos that we can't handle adulting. They're letting us know about. They're
ridiculing us and undermining us, and it's like, you don't understand that we are me and you, I mean, we could go into politics in 10 years. You never know. I mean, there's all kind of like, Al Franken, he was a comedian. I know that he's disgraced now, but it's just highlighting Arnold Schwarzenegger, became a governor. Jesse Ventura, he was a wrestler. People from all walks of life have made it into politics. And a lot of those, like, a lot of people made fun of Arnold, but he passed a lot of kind of cool laws and policies and things. I mean, he actually was pretty informed.
Yeah, no, he really was. He really was. And I think that it's one of those a very difficult time for us to wrap our heads around. I mean, when Crawford and I last week said, hey, what are we talking about on next Friday? Our thought was, we're going to do a Valentine special. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about all these things.
We had like 3 pages typed up, guys, and then that happened.
It did. I mean, we had this whole thing about, we were going to talk about our marriages and our boyfriends, and
I wrote an ode to basketball shorts.
Oh my God, it was so great.
God, I love basketball shorts. Okay, I'm sorry.
Once we, if you actually donate to our Patreon, we will give you the insight of our love life on Patreon. You just have to give us your money. Anyways. Money.
Can I rant about the fucking PATH Act and the fact that, it pisses me off that I understand why they do it, that they want to make sure that people aren't taking unfair advantage of the earned income credit and the child tax credit. But it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like, we don't get the earned income credit, but we still qualify for that child tax credit. We file at the beginning of February, and it'll be the end of February before we get our income tax return. We've been claiming the same fucking kid before. You know what I mean? Like, I can understand there should be a 2-tier system. Like, these ones are the same every year. Get the ones that are suspicious. That's bullshit. That who that adversely affects? Poor people. Those are the only people affected by that have to fucking wait a whole month to get the return back. It pisses me off.
Go on more about what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I'm talking about? The PATH Act?
No.
It's oh my gosh, hold on, it's the against tax something. Hold on, PATH Act. We filed our taxes at the beginning of February, and it's a refund delay. Basically, the PATH Act mandates that the IRS not issue a refund on tax returns claiming the earned income tax credit or additional tax credit until February 15th. That means that they will not start issuing returns until then. The additional time helps the IRS stop fraudulent returns from being issued to identity thieves and fraudulent claims for fabricated wages and withholding. More information about this law is available on blank with a link. I'm on the IRS website. So basically, they hold your refund, and if you check your "Where's my refund" status or whatever, it tells you to check back in mid to late February, and it tells people like don't expect your tax refund until somewhere around the 1st of March. So, but anybody that doesn't get that, they just get like, I had a guy today who came in and said that his wife filed their taxes like 3 days ago or whatever, and he got his refund today because they don't, you know what I mean? Like that's mean. Yeah, and there's got to be another way to filter those out a little bit better so that, you know, Jason and I, he's claimed Aiden. He always claims Aiden because it makes more. And he, well, I don't know, our taxes are weird, but he doesn't always claim. Anyways, totally off point. But the last 2 years, we've had to wait an extra. We used to get ours around Valentine's Day every year or a week sooner. Boom, we're on it, you know. And now we've got to wait a whole month to get our return back, and we've been filing the same fucking return for 14 years.
Wow.
You know?
That's ridiculous.
Like shouldn't sound like one. Okay, whatever. I don't know. There should be a better way to filter those false tax returns. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that's complete and utter bullshit. We haven't filed our tax returns yet because, I don't know. We just haven't. I think I'm still waiting on something.
I think last year
we've waited. Like we used to be all about our tax returns when the kids.
That's how you started making more, right?
And when we waited more, I was like, dude. I think last year we didn't actually file our taxes till like April 2nd or April 3rd.
Yeah. See, the last 2 years we haven't really, because we've been doing okay. Don't get me wrong. We bitch about wage inequality, but in our younger years, like we were like, oh god, I can't wait for a day to get here to pay up our bills, you know. And so I'm not in such a rush to file usually, but this year has some special circumstances where I need that money.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
you can hear it.
You can hear, like, hey Amanda, we're gonna get all this. I'm like, we'll get all this when I get on this.
You can hear it in my background.
Yeah, like I'm not all about this. Oh, not just quite yet. I'm sorry.
You know, so it hasn't really affected me. And it pissed me off when I read about it first, found out about it, but it didn't really affect us because we weren't in a rush to get ours. But this year, I'm like, this is bullshit. You know.
Yep.
Like, I'm reverting back to trailer Crawford. Like, no, they can't be holding my refund. I got bills to pay. No. No, right? Like, I got things to do.
I agree.
Call it the W-2 flu. I was sick for a week when we don't really get that much anymore, but it's just the fact, you know, like, that only punishes low-income people because those are only low-income credits.
Yep.
So, but that's
what it is.
And
they do that,
you know what?
I
haven't had a rant in a while, and that was my fucking rant. I get so mad about poor people, though, don't I? I'm like, here's it all about poor people. I don't know.
Rant on, Crawford.
Well, just upset. That just gives
like 20 minutes of this fucking podcast.
Oh, I know, but I know. It just bothers me. There's so many. This administration is just really upsetting me. Like, and I'm trying not to let it get to me because it's so out of control. But it's like a bad dream. The things that you read, the rollbacks, cuts, the things that they're doing, the food stamp box. Oh my God! Please don't get me started on the food stamp box. And you know, I see. How dare you decide that you're going to send people? Did you see the art? I don't know if you saw like what they put in, like powdered milk, powdered eggs. Like all non-perishables instead of getting a food stamp card. And then I read comments by people who are like, yeah, because I'm getting tired of standing behind people who spend $200 on shrimps and steaks. Now, I'm sure that $200 is probably all they get for the month, and maybe that is what they spend it on, but that's all they get. So I don't care how you spend your $200 fucking dollars, that's all you got. So you got to find some other way to feed yourself for the rest of the month. Who fucking cares? You know? I just
But poor people aren't supposed to eat healthy. They
no,
need to get fat and obese so we can pay for their welfare and their social
it's
security
such a
numbers.
horrifying cycle, right? Like fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, any kind of healthy eating is too expensive, even if you get food stamps. And a lot of people don't realize, like, you know, the welfare queen myth that, you know, people just sit around, they don't work, and they have no jobs, and there's a lot of people that it's called the working poor, and they all qualify for food stamps. So when you go to the store and you check out, that person behind the counter, if they have a family, they probably get their income supplemented with food stamps. Like, most of the people who get welfare, especially in Ohio, you have to work to get welfare unless you're disabled or you have a real fucking good reason. Otherwise, you got to go to Job Club. And Job Club people is like every day from 9 to noon, you got to sit at a computer and type up the. But it's nice because they'll show you how to write a resume. They'll help you with interview skills. I mean, it's neat, you know, but you have to go every day, and if you don't, you get sanctioned. You don't get your benefits. You'll still get your Medicaid coverage or whatever, but they will sanction you. People don't know all of these little rules. Like, you don't just get. It's not just like people are throwing money out the window, like, go buy food, go. No, they are. It is. You got to jump through some hoops. They have a month to process your application. You know, I mean, they have taken and taken and taken. But this food box, powdered milk, I'll slap the shit out of you. It pisses me off. It almost reminds me of Stalin. You know, in order to turn Russia into a superpower, he killed off like 5 to 6 million people through hunger. You know, they just didn't make enough food, and it actually, like, disgustingly, that was how Russia became a superpower, because they basically cut 5 or 6 million people off the tit, and it turned them into a strong superpower back then, right before World War I, and World War II, or maybe before then, because I'm not quite sure on the years there, but that's kind of like, it makes you wonder if that's what they're doing here. Like, let's just kill off. You know, what is that? There was a rich guy that one time said that he could always hire one half of the poor to kill the other. Have you ever heard that quote before?
I have not.
No, I'm going to type in and see kill. Let's see. Hire one half of the poor to kill the other. Jay Gould. I can hire one half of the working class to kill the other half. Frequently attributed, often in the context of strike-breaking activities during the Great Southwest Railroad Strike of 1886, is what he said. So, he was, yeah, yep. But that's a rich person talking about people striking, and he's like, you know, that's fine. I'll just hire one half to kill the other half.
That's exactly what we've done, though.
Yes.
And we have a president who...
We're not killing each other now. We're not killing each other now, but we're arguing. We're killing each other with words and division.
Yeah.
You know, we're not, but it's the same tactic.
But we are killing off each other. I mean, that was the whole...
Yes, that is, yes. We are, obviously.
We are
but I mean, as far as our division, those of us still alive and that have not died in a mass shooting yet, that's our division. You know, that's what I mean by killing each other. And not a literal sense, but like, we don't talk, we kill communication between each other because there's a division there, you know. So, I don't know, maybe like in a psychological way. I don't know, it's late, bitch.
No, it is late. It is, for those of you who don't know, it's 1:30 in the morning.
Eastern Standard Time, bitches.
Yeah, it is late. And no, I think you're completely right, though. I mean, we are killing each other. We're fighting the person who makes $30,000 a year with no kids is screaming at the person who makes $30,000 a year married with 2 kids.
Right.
You know, and they're saying you're poor and you don't need anything. I make the same amount of money as you.
Right.
But I have 2 kids to feed and you don't, and that's the only reason why you make more technical money than I do is because you don't pay for 2 extra mouths to feed.
Exactly.
You know, but they're gonna, oh well, why do you need help? Well, because I only make $30,000 a year, and I'm doing this college education thing that you guys told me for 2 fucking decades I had to have.
Go to college.
Now
worthless. I think I did write something about that. Our degrees are worthless. That's what I always call it, is like the greatest lie that our generation was ever sold. Go to college, get a degree. It'll change your life. I'm a bartender, and my boyfriend works in a factory. because we make more than what our entry-level degrees would pay us back when the recession. We graduated right around the time the economy tanked. So, that's when wages tanked too, because everybody needed a job. So they, like I think my degree, I was getting like offers for $10 an hour, which isn't awful, but for a fucking college degree, I should have been, if you go to like salary.com or whatever and you look for wage, like what you should be making or whatever, it should have been in the $14 to $16 range. And I found I was making more money bartending or waiting tables than making $10 an hour straight hourly. And same thing with my boyfriend. I don't think he was offered but $12 an hour, and he makes, I'm not even really sure, but the starting wage at the factory that he worked at, I think, was $14. So, yeah, okay. So what should we do? And now it's kind of the point where our degrees are aging, and so we need to start. We're gonna take some certification tests and try and beef up our degree, like try and catch up or whatever. And hopefully that's kind of our New Year thing is. Hopefully we'll be buying a house and moving into the white-collar sector where I will be lunching with Miles once every 2 weeks.
I hear your little kitty cat in the background. Is she okay?
That's the same one that always, I'm always like, shut up! His dad was like that. Like, he would cry all the time. He just cries. He's just like, hello? And you're like, what's wrong? Then he comes running with his tail up, and you're like, oh my god.
Oh, what a cutie patootie.
You know what we never got to was our weekly podcast shoutouts, and I almost forgot, and I know that we're starting to run long now. Or not run long, but we're just about at our cutoff point, yeah. So we definitely, this is how we get you. We hook you. Because we make you listen to the whole podcast before you get to hear the shout-outs. What do you got for us this week, Miles?
Well, this weekly shout-outs could definitely go on and on forever. For those of you who are like, why does Miles have so many shout-outs every week? I work in an office, and I got to put on my headphones all the time. So all I do is I usually pop on my headphones. I have a really annoying coworker who's about as dumb as a box of rocks, who asks so many questions that I want to just pummel her some days. So because of that, I put on my headphones as much as possible. And, but with that, I have literally about 8 hours of work, or let's say about 7 hours of work every day that I can just throw on podcasts while I'm doing my job and listening to them. So that's what I do. And I try to actually change my podcasts, daily, that I don't listen to the same podcast, or I don't try to binge them all. I try to give, we have, 548 people now on Twitter, and I'm trying to give them all.
Buddy.
I'm trying to give them all at least a listen, a listen to find out the ones, that are great. And all of them have been phenomenal. And they'll have their ups and their downs and their pros and their cons like we all do. Just as Miles and Crawford have. We have our pros and our cons and our ups and our downs. So
cats and babies. Exactly. Children and husbands.
Exactly. So this week I got a chance to listen to Second Shot podcast. They did it's a group, and they do a second review, of that we used to watch back in the day, and they watch them again as adults.
That will fuck you up.
Yeah, well, so they rewatched Kevin Smith's Mallrats, and that was a very hilarious episode because it really was a debate about whether or not Mallrats is just as good now as it was back then. So that was a really fun one. Tomorrow I'm going to put on something I've been wanting to listen to, which is called Alternative Facts Chai. So it's all Alternative Facts Chicago. And I'm really excited to be listening to them. They're one of the top podcasts in the Chicago area. So I want to give them a listen and find out what they're all about. But I'm going to give them a shout out now because they've been very interactive with us on Twitter. And so I wanted to give a shout out to them. There's another one called From the Bottom Podcast. The More Gooder Than Podcast.
Oh my!
Right, it's a mouthful there. And as much love as always, on Valentine's Day, I got the chance to listen to Heil on Life. Miss Noel did a great job of a bunch of interviews from other podcasters about their little love stories. So if you still you're like listening to us, like I'm so fucking depressed, go to Hyla on Life. She has a great little podcast that shares loving stories about soulmates, and sometimes it's not just your soulmate husband, it's your soulmate best friend, your soulmate dog. It's a very wonderful little podcast I got the chance to listen to. Drinks with Larry was fucking hilarious this week. Kudos to Drinks with Larry. They are from the Ohio region as well, and I literally got caught laughing several times in a very quiet, I have 2 earbuds in, don't realize how loud you are being, until someone's like, what are you laughing about up there, Miles? And I'm like, I'm so sorry, it's so funny. So Drinks with Larry had a great one. So give them all a listen, guys. There's so many great ones that are out there. Every week I try to do my best in giving different shout outs to different podcasts. Some I'm more favorable to. I will have to give a shout out to Demo over. I got their nice little letter and their sticker today to help start in with my collection of podcasts.
Ooh, did you send them a quarter-sized Miles and Crawford sticker?
My kids threw away the fucking envelopes. I don't even have a fucking way to send them, like, hey, by the way, our sticker will fit in the fucking small corner of your sticker. So, yeah, but obviously always kudos to those fun.
Oh, well, I like Drinks with Larry. I did end up listening to that last week. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Usually I do my podcast earlier, and my boyfriend husband was in the room for a change. So, wanted to highlight that, because I know Mr. Miles always shows up with hot baked cookies or hot coffee.
He is passed the fuck out.
My boyfriend's got his hands in his pocket.
Oh yeah,
he just gave me a look like, you are fucked up in the head.
That's okay. That's why we love you, Crawford.
Yeah. All right. So I think that was an off the cuff episode this week. We had something written. We might retool it, or we might only make it available on Patreon, because I know you guys all want more of us.
Want it, get it, pay for it.
Yeah, that's how this works. I mean, titties aren't free.
No, they are not. Not ours, at least.
So I hope you all had a great Valentine's Day. We will see you next week with probably some more outrageous news and more information about what happened this week. And I don't know what we have planned for next week, but I'm sure it'll be a variety.
It will be a variety, as always.
So have a great weekend, I guess. We might get this posted this weekend. If not, happy Monday.
Yay! President's Day!
Oh, does that mean that there's no school?
That means there's no school.
Okay, I'm glad that.
And I also don't have work that day.
Oh my goodness!
I know.
Miles is gonna be on Patreon. Like, we're the best.
We are. It's true. It's true.
That's funny. All right. Well, goodbye, everybody. Have a great night, evening, day, morning, mid-afternoon. I don't fucking know.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, I think that was a good episode.
It was. It had a good flow to it.
Yeah, I hope I didn't get too ranty.
No, I didn't think it got ranty enough, honestly.
Okay.
I could have taken a little bit more Miles ranting.
I was trying to not be as crazy this week, so we'll see that.
I think you're a little bit sober.
I know. I think my drinks have worn off, and I'm like, oh
yeah, I could tell.
30 like time spot,
Yeah, I could tell like you starting to like, okay. You
it's
move down to mellow down.
Yep.
But just in time to get those good rants out first, though. Thank God.
Yeah. Thank God. I agree.
I think your rants they carry our episodes. So.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And did yours record as well?
Yep.
All right,
still.
wonderful.
Oh, that's right. We can hit stop now.